27, 2024, News Report 1. The trilateral summit among China, Japan, and South Korea was held in Seoul, South Korea, on May 27. Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida attended the meeting. This was the first meeting of the three leaders in 4.5 years. Following the trilateral talks, a joint statement was issued, announcing cooperation in 6 major areas: cultural exchanges, climate change response, economic and trade cooperation, public health and aging societies, technology exchanges, digital transformation, and disaster relief. Additionally, the three countries will restart free trade negotiations. Just hours before the meeting began, North Korea notified Japan that it would launch a military reconnaissance satellite between May 27 and June 4. Although the North Korea issue was not on the meeting agenda, all three leaders mentioned it in their post-meeting press conferences. Yoon Suk-yeol stated that regional peace and stability are common interests of the three countries, calling for the peaceful reunification of the Korean peninsula and condemning North Korea's satellite launch. Fumio Kishida said that the three parties unanimously believe that North Korea's denuclearization and stability of the Korean peninsula are in their common interests. Li Keqiang remained silent on the North Korea issue but reiterated China's consistent position on the peace and stability of the Korean peninsula. The expectations for this meeting were not high, and there have been no major breakthroughs so far. Li Keqiang arrived in Seoul on May 26 and met with Yoon Suk-yeol in the afternoon. The outcomes of the talks, as announced by South Korea's National Security Council, include the establishment of a Korean-Chinese export control dialogue mechanism to enhance communication and strengthen supply chain cooperation, discussing plans to expand exchanges and openness in the service sector between China and South Korea, particularly in the fields of culture, tourism, and law. Restarting the stalled Korea-China Investment Cooperation Committee meeting after 13 years, and establishing a China-South Korea diplomatic and security dialogue mechanism, with plans for the first meeting next month. On the evening of May 26, Li Keqiang held talks with Fumio Kishida. According to Kyodo News, Fumio Kishida urged China to immediately lift the ban on Japanese seafood and discussed resuming imports of Japanese beef and increasing imports of Japanese rice. He expressed serious concern about China's military activities around Japan and urged China to immediately remove buoys around the Senkaku Islands and release detained Japanese individuals as soon as possible. He also emphasized the military situation around the Taiwan Strait, pointing out the importance of peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait to the international community. Xinhua news agency reported that Li Keqiang stated that the Taiwan issue concerns the core interests of China-Japan relations and is China's red line. On the issue of Fukushima nuclear wastewater discharge into the sea, he hoped that Japan would fulfill its own responsibilities and obligations. The demands of the parties at the China-Japan-South Korea leaders' meeting were not entirely consistent. Japan hoped to use this opportunity to pressure China, while South Korea sought to balance its relationship with China. China appeared more passive because Japan and South Korea made several requests to China during the meeting. On the evening of May 27, North Korea launched a missile, which failed, but the event also indicated China's attitude on the issue. News Report 2. Reuters reported that the Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs protested against China's implementation of a fishing ban in the South China Sea on May 27, citing that the ban covers Philippine waters. The Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs pointed out that China's annual 4-month fishing ban has escalated tensions in the South China Sea. The Philippines urged China to stop its actions violating Philippine sovereignty. Since 1999, China has imposed a seasonal fishing ban in the South China Sea every year, which the Philippines has consistently opposed. Recently, the Chinese government announced new maritime law enforcement regulations, stating that from June onwards, Chinese maritime law enforcement can arrest any foreigner entering Chinese territorial waters and detain them for 90 days. It would be extremely dangerous for Philippine fishermen to appear in the South China Sea during China's fishing ban. Additionally, Production Industry News reported that the Japan Coast Guard notified on May 27 that 4 Chinese Coast Guard ships were passing through the waters near the Senkaku Islands. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida expressed serious concern about this. News Report 3. Voice of America reported that Alexander Yuk-Ching Ma, a Chinese American, pleaded guilty in a federal court in Honolulu on May 24. He was accused of providing China with classified information from the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, including sources of information, international operations, secure communications practices, and spy techniques. Although these information were not classified as core secrets, they were still highly sensitive. Alexander Yuk-Ching Ma, 71, was born in Hong Kong and became a U.S. citizen in 1975. He was a translator for the CIA and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, often copying, photographing, and stealing some classified documents, then traveling to China with these documents and bringing back large amounts of cash or expensive gifts. Since his arrest in August 2020, he has been detained. Under the plea agreement, he will be sentenced to 10 years in prison, and the judge will make the final sentencing decision on September 17. In addition, Canada's Department of Innovation ordered 2 technology companies, Bluvec Technologies and Pagani Technology, to cease all operations in Canada on May 24 for national security reasons. These 2 companies were established in 2018, with Bluvec producing equipment for detecting and defending against drones and Pagani Technology producing wireless security products. The Department of Innovation's statement said that while Canada welcomes foreign direct investment, the Canadian government will take decisive action when such investments threaten national security. News Report 4. Xinhua News Agency reported that the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China, CPC, Central Committee held its monthly meeting on May 27, reviewing the accountability regulations for preventing and defusing financial risks and several policy measures to accelerate the rise of the Central Region in the new era. Xi Jinping chaired the meeting. The meeting emphasized that preventing and defusing financial risks must be taken seriously, and efforts must be made to address them directly. It was stressed that there must be the courage to manage and speak up, truly demonstrating capabilities and responsibilities. This indicates that the risks in the financial sector are very severe and must be strictly controlled to ensure no problems occur. However, this strict control has also led to some people being unable to withdraw money smoothly, indicating the seriousness of liquidity issues in the financial system. Although there have been fewer reports in the media about this, in reality, a comprehensive and systemic liquidity crisis in China's banking system has already emerged, and a financial crisis is occurring, though it is difficult for the outside world to detect. Furthermore, the meeting also reviewed policy measures for the rise of the Central Region. The issues of the rise of the Central Region and the revitalization of the Northeast have been discussed for many years, and the continued attention to these issues indicates the difficulty in resolving them. The meeting also discussed food security issues, requiring localities to list measures for promoting food security, with a focus on grain production in 6 major grain-producing provinces of Shaanxi, Anhui, Jiangxi, Hunan, Hubei, and Hunan. Last year, there was a policy of returning farmland to forests and grasslands, and this year, there have been continuous emphases on food security due to possible war preparations, reflecting tension in China's foreign relations. News Report 5. Securities Times reported that the National Integrated Circuit Industry Investment Fund, also known as the Big Fund, established its 3rd phase on May 24, with a registered capital of 344 billion yuan. The focus of this phase of the Big Fund's investment is on chips and chip manufacturing equipment. The Big Fund was initially established in 2014 to leverage fiscal investment to drive social capital investment, mainly targeting areas such as chip industry design, manufacturing, packaging, and testing. The first phase of the big fund had a registered capital of 138.7 billion yuan, leveraging over 500 billion yuan of social capital, with China's total investment in the chip industry exceeding 1 trillion yuan during that period. The second phase of the big fund was established in 2019 with a registered capital of 204 billion yuan, leveraging 600 billion yuan of social capital, with China's total investment in the chip industry exceeding 3 trillion yuan at that time. The registered capital of the third phase of the big fund reached 344 billion yuan, and it is expected to leverage social capital at a ratio of 1:3 or 1:4, driving investment of over 10 trillion yuan, with the total investment possibly exceeding 50 trillion yuan. China continues to make large-scale investments in cutting-edge high-tech industries, aiming to make breakthroughs in these areas. However, despite the seemingly favorable impact of large-scale investment on the development of high-tech industries, the problems it brings cannot be ignored. China has invested heavily in the chip field, but ordinary people have not benefited from it, and local governments and enterprises also face funding shortages. The government's massive investment in high-tech industries has exacerbated economic risks. The larger the gamble, the more serious the potential consequences, which may further exacerbate China's economic crisis. News Report 6. First Financial reported that Shenzhen Metro and Shenzhen Baishua Yinhai jointly purchased the land where Vank's headquarters is located for 2.2 billion yuan. Shenzhen Metro is Vank's largest shareholder. Vank publicly listed the land located in the Shenzhen base super headquarters base for sale on May 8 this year. The land is situated at the junction of Nanshan Shenwan 3rd Road and Baishur 4th Road, with an area of 19,000 square meters and a construction area of 160,000 square meters. Vank purchased this land for 3.1 billion yuan in 2017 and is now selling it for 2.2 billion yuan, mainly due to the company's financial difficulties. Vank has long been regarded as a role model in the Chinese real estate industry, and when even Vank has to resort to selling land to survive, it indicates that the entire industry is facing severe difficulties. Vank's total assets and liabilities are both 1 trillion yuan, reflecting tremendous financial pressure. Recently, Vank signed an agreement with China Merchants Bank to obtain a loan of 20 billion yuan, of which 10 billion yuan has already been received. In addition, Vank has applied for loans of 7.4 billion yuan from Bank of China, Agricultural Bank of China, and Beijing Bank. Although Vank has recently received a series of financial support, this does not completely solve its problems. Vank's core problem lies in poor sales. From January to April this year, Vank only sold 78 billion yuan, a decrease of 40% year-on-year. If sales do not improve, Vank will still face a survival crisis. Vank's plight reflects the common problems in the entire real estate industry. With the industry's continued downturn, the financial pressure on companies is increasing, and many companies have to resort to selling assets and seeking loans to alleviate funding difficulties. However, if market sales do not improve, the long-term survival of companies remains uncertain. News Report 7. There have been several labor protest incidents in China recently. On May 22, workers at Luxing Intelligent Technology in Chongping Town, Dongguan, Guangdong Province, went on strike to protest the cancellation of their basic salary. Videos show workers gathering in the factory area, confronting factory management. Similarly, on May 26, workers at Dongting Reed Field Food Company in Junshan Industrial Park, Yeyang, Hunan, gathered to protest. The factory had cancelled the workers' collective leave citing poor sales, leading the workers to demand an explanation from management. On May 27, hundreds of workers at Waikowai Automotive Parts Company in Changchun, Jilin Province, protested in the factory area for compensation due to the factory relocation. On the same day, a group of workers gathered outside the Phoenix City construction site of Country Garden in Xi'an, demanding unpaid wages. The gate of the construction site was closed, and the workers chanted slogans outside. According to Freedom House statistics, there were 655 collective protest incidents from January to April this year, an increase of 27% compared to the same period last year, with 57% of them being labor protests. Despite official Chinese media claiming strong economic performance, the increase in worker protests indicates that companies are facing immense survival pressure. News Report 8. Shanghai announced on May 27 that it is adjusting its housing purchase policy. Non-local residents only need to pay 3 years of Social Security or personal income tax to buy a house, down from 5 years previously. In key areas such as new towns and areas undergoing transformation, non-local talents only need to pay 2 years of Social Security to buy a house. Non-local singles can now buy second-hand houses within the Outer Ring Road. Families with 2 or more children can buy an additional house. The down payment ratio for the first home is lowered to no less than 20%. Within 1 year, selling the only house completed before 2000 within the Outer Ring Road with a construction area of less than 70 square meters can apply for a subsidy to buy another house. These policy adjustments aim to stimulate the real estate market. However, your point suggests that these policy adjustments are just minor adjustments and will not bring substantial changes to the entire market, thus their impact is limited. News Report 9. Former U.S. President Trump stated in an interview that former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley will join his team in some capacity. Despite their disagreements during the party's nomination process, Trump believes Haley is very capable and they have many similarities. Trump also revealed that Haley had indicated at the Hudson Institute event that she would vote for him in the presidential election. Trump plans to decide on a vice presidential candidate during the Republican National Convention in July. The candidates he is considering include Ben Carson, who served as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development during his tenure, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, and Representative Elise Stefanik of New York. News Report 10. China's Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security announced on May 27 that the State Council has appointed Hua Chunying as Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. Currently, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has 5 deputy ministers, with Hua Chunying ranking last. She ranks behind 2 assistant ministers. Hua Chunying, 54, is from Huai'an, Jiangsu Province, and graduated from the Foreign Language Department of Nanjing University. After graduating in 1992, she joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where she served as a clerk in the Western Europe Department and later worked in the European Department in 2010. In 2012, she became the Deputy Director of the Information Department and became the spokesperson. In 2019, she was promoted to Director of the Information Department and has been the Assistant Minister since 2021, in charge of news, protocol, and translation. During her tenure as spokesperson, Hua Chunying's remarks were noteworthy. In 2020, she said at a routine press conference that social media such as Twitter is full of malicious lies about China and that China needs to speak out with justice. When answering questions, Hua Chunying sometimes blinks frequently. During the pandemic, she once said that the German lab in Detroit created the Wuhan pneumonia virus. Hua Chunying's appointment as Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs is seen as a recognition of her work as spokesperson and also reflects a certain direction of China's diplomatic strategy under the leadership of Xi Jinping. News Report 11. The China Maritime Safety Administration announced on May 24 that a tugboat named Union Qirui sank in the East China Sea. The tugboat belongs to Fujian Joint Ocean Engineering Company, is a private ship with a total tonnage of 4,463 tons, a length of 82 meters, and a width of 20 meters. It is reported that before the incident, the tugboat was sailing normally, heading to Zhoushan, Zhejiang. However, at 7 a.m. on May 24, the Union Qirui suddenly turned and slowed down, and then completely lost signal at 9 a.m. The China Maritime Safety Administration did not disclose the cause of the sinking, and the incident did not occur within the range of the China-Taiwan military exercises held at the time. This incident has led to speculation and comments from the outside world, with some speculating whether it is related to the military exercises, and some even worried about being hit by a missile.